moved on to greener pastures in Oklahoma in face of persistent drought and declining markets. Although the events of July 1947 were tucked away in the recesses of my mind during my college years, and then during my service with the U.S. Navy as a pilot during the Korean War, they were not totally dismissed. However, it was not until after my mission to the moon on Apollo 14 in February 1971 that incidents related to those early events began to occur. Although I no longer had family in Roswell or the Pecos Valley, friends from school and children of family acquaintances were still living there. I had occasion to return to the area for public appearances and talks relative to my adventures in space. I was honored that the highway going south from Roswell to Carlsbad, New Mexico, and that passed through my hometown of Artesia, was renamed the Edgar Mitchell Highway in commemoration of my space experience. During a few of these visits, I encountered or was approached by individuals whom I refer to as old-timers. Also, I was sometimes approached by their relatives of my age, who wanted to discuss the Roswell incident. Although the incident was almost forgotten in my mind, it was not forgotten in theirs, because of harsh threats to their parents or families should the real events ever be discussed. Only because of my being a spaceman and a local boy, who in their eyes could be trusted with the secret, did they open up to me a bit. They did not want to carry to the grave what they had observed and been a party to personally, or had been told by their parents. During this period, I also met Jesse Marcel Jr., the son of Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer from the Roswell Air Base who had been on the scene of the crash and brought some of the material home for viewing by his wife and son before taking it to the base. Another Air Force major, an administrative officer who was a friend of my family in those earlier days, whom I shall call Bill, later verified for me before he passed on that he knew Marcel and also knew about the events of the period, but was not officially involved in the investigation. These individuals, plus others related to the Roswell Funeral Home, the sheriff's office, and the press and radio media at the time, made passing references to their knowledge of the reality of the Roswell incident at various social events I attended in that period of the early 1970s. It was not until many years later when Stephen Greer and other investigators of UFO events began making a concerted effort for disclosure of alien presence that I began to think more deeply about these early events and conversations. In 1997, Greer, myself, and Commander Will Miller, while attending a conference in Washington, D.C. on this disclosure issue, made an appointment to speak with high-level intelligence officers at the Pentagon regarding our knowledge and experiences. We were granted the interview and told our respective stories to these officers. Although we had adequate confirmation from officialdom following this meeting that our experiences were valid and that there had been an ongoing investigation and official denial of alien presence, even this meeting at the Pentagon and its aftermath were subject to the usual obfuscation and denial. This, of course, is because even the existence of these special access programs cannot be admitted by those with the necessary security clearance without jeopardizing that clearance and their jobs. During the past 3 decades, well-credentialed and competent investigators, particularly the authors of this volume, have made a compelling case not only for the Roswell incident but also alien visitation in general. For those with an open mind to this idea and willingness to dig through the available literature, the evidence is overwhelming. The question of our being alone in the universe has been a subject of discussion for many centuries, but only in our times has modern technology enabled us to meaningfully enter the discussion with the expectation of finding answers without necessarily experiencing on Earth an alien presence. The visitation phenomenon, as it becomes more widely accepted and understood, will cause a significant change in the view of our place in the universe and a deeper interest in astronomy and cosmology. The question of traversing vast distances in the universe within finite time periods is a thorny one. However, our science is still very young and incomplete, and our visitors clearly have advanced more in that realm of science than we have. We do have a lot to learn about traveling among the stars, an adventure we have only begun during our generation. The authors of this book, Thomas Carey and Donald Schmitt, have spent many years ferreting out the details of the true story of the Roswell incident from among the denials, misinformation, and disinformation promulgated by sources desiring to discredit the alien presence. Were a weather balloon or any other real event the actual basis of the Roswell incident, one truthful story would suffice.